Okay, good day sa inyo mga kabir. This is Bearded Talk episode 8. So hopefully you are on a very safe place, I would say, with on a very interesting time. So we are now on episode 8. Thank you for those people who subscribe. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. If you want to continue with this kind of content, so would really appreciate for your support. And for those who have already supported this channel, thank you so much. Now, prior na mag-ano tayo, pumunta tayo sa topic natin, just want to provide some shout outs muna. So, for those people who have motorcycle needs, a rider like me, so would like to promote Jit's Motorcycle Shop in 417 Avocado, De Leon, Valenzuela City. So sa classmate ko, kay Ralph. So this is my promise. I'll be um, endorsing this, I would say, to my channel. So if you have motorcycle needs, go ahead and visit that shop. So let's proceed now with our topic for today. So guys, I provided you a teaser kung ano yung magiging topic natin for this week. And for this week, the inspiration of it is I actually talked to one of my good friends, and he still believes that even if he has a very good position sa company niya, he has accomplished a lot of things, he still believes that he does not deserve it. And he got it because he was lucky. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just that, you have to give also credit to yourself, and it speaks about confidence kasi, especially if you are a person who has a leadership position. How you actually think can actually affect other people around you. So that is the power of you having that leadership position, for you to have this influence over them. So I would like to talk about this particular topic that probably not everyone is aware, but I was actually surprised when I'm researching this. A huge number or percentage of the population might have experienced this part or this syndrome at least once in their lifetime. And the question that I would like to ask you before we even start is, um, are you an imposter? I'm actually thinking that most of you would actually answer no, which is, we don't really tolerate fraud. So, however, I'm I would say 80 or 70% sure that there was a point in your life that you even ask yourself these particular questions. So, questions are, have you ever felt that you do not belong? Was there even a time in your professional or your personal life that you do not belong? Your company, that you do not belong to your company, you do not belong to your group of friends, you do not believe that you are not, I would say, included in the group. It's part of our needs to feel secure. So, but there was possibly a point in your life that you do not feel that you belong to any group, or you do not belong to a certain organization. Another thing is, are you anxious that your friends or family would actually discover or thinks that you're a fraud? Was there even a time like that? Another thing is, which is, I would say, the main driver for this topic is that, was there a time that you actually felt that you don't deserve your job accomplishments and you just got lucky? That's the last question. For those people who are playing trading card games, just like me, uh, we actually say that luck is part of our skill set. But there are some people who doesn't really think that way, that they just got lucky, they actually are in this position of their life because they just got lucky. I'm not saying it's a really wrong mindset. It's just that, especially if you are on a position that you can influence others, you just don't want to rely on luck, on getting your job done, getting the things that you really wanted because you're lucky. You know, you also want to give credit to yourself because you really worked hard on it, and it's because you are skilled, and you have to give credit to yourself. So however, there was possibly a point in your life that you actually thought that you are an imposter, which is, I would say, when I research on this topic, it's actually normal. There is what we call an imposter syndrome. We actually think that everything that happens to us is because of luck, especially those good ones. And it's not because of our talent, it's not because of our skill set. And this was based on the study of psychologists Pauline Rose Clance and Suzanne Imes. So it's true. I was surprised that there was really a syndrome. And this syndrome, as the name implies, you might actually get it, or you might actually experienced it already, or you are experiencing it right now. You might not be aware of it, but there is a term such as imposter syndrome. And what surprised me is that 70% of the people actually experience this syndrome at some point of their life. So there might be a time that you already experienced it. We just don't know that there it is something that we can acquire. So, yun eh. Parang, okay, 70% of the people pala meron. But why is it not that of a topic na if not all of the people, or 70% of the people actually experienced it as at least some point in their lives? Now, very first thing I would like to talk about this syndrome is actually true. There are a lot of articles right now online, books that would actually help you understand imposter syndrome better. But just want to make it clear that 70% of the people already experienced it, probably. So this is a worldwide phenomena, I would say. So a lot of people already experienced it. So now that we know that there is such a term called imposter syndrome, and makes you feel that, and this is a syndrome that makes you feel that you're just lucky, and whatever you accomplish is not attributed to your talents or skills, that this actually exists, is that another thing that we have to take a look at is, okay, so now that we know that it existed, we want to avoid, or at the same time, if we are already experiencing it, how do we even get it? Because that is another thing that we also need to know. Now, there's really no single reason behind it. It may be a combination of one or more instances that we have here, or factors. First is your personality traits. So if you're a person who is experiencing anxiety attacks, panic attacks, there is a big possibility that you already experienced this, probably experiencing it. Another thing is family or behavioral causes. So this really plays a very big role. Why? Just wanted to share with you that there was a point in time that um, I actually thought that getting 90% on an exam is already a failure, because there was a point in time that I got scolded because I got 90% from an exam. And I took that up until, I would say, college, that I don't really feel that if you actually get something lower than 90, you're already a failure. You might be saying that, well, sobra naman yun, 90%, mataas na nga yun eh. But I just want to tell you to you as early as now that I did really felt that 90% is really not good enough because of what I've experienced before. This might be childhood memories and experiences that attributed for you to feel unconfident about your skills, that you just attributed everything to luck. And that is something that we need to acknowledge. So especially right now that we are, for those who are already parents, you have to make sure that this is something that you are aware of, because you might never know your child would be experiencing um, imposter syndrome when they grow up. So there's a lot. So another thing is, there was a person that what I was able to talk to before, that he actually feels that he if he has the lowest grade sa classroom nila, that he will get suspended, or his mom or his dad will not let him go to school anymore, because it did happen to him one time. So it resulted to very low self-esteem. Last but certainly not least is, this can also be caused by the idea that for you to belong, or for you to belong to a group, or for you to be loved or be lovable or be likable, that you need to present a certain credential, that you have to achieve on something. You should be the best, or you should be surpassing who's currently the best, for you to belong, or for you to show that, okay, I am not a fraud. I need to prove that I am not a fraud, I'm not an imposter, I can do this. So it can be cost of that thinking. So there are a lot of factors, and if there are other factors that you can think of, if you're probably aware of this syndrome, comment down below. So I would really like to hear from you, so that we can actually help each other out. Okay. Now, if you're experiencing imposter syndrome, or you probably know someone who does, or if you want to avoid it or prevent it, how do we manage it? Now, there's a lot of ways for you to manage it, based on the article that I actually read, and the books that I read when I'm researching this topic for this episode. Is that, since 70% of the people might have experienced it before, or at least once in their life, or you're probably experiencing it right now, one of the very first thing that you have to do is, you have to acknowledge that those thoughts are existing. But you also have to make an effort for you to put them into perspective. So one of the critical questions that you might want to ask yourself is, when there is a thought that comes to your mind, that I probably got this because I'm just lucky, or I do not deserve this. You might want to put that into perspective. Now that you're thinking about that, what's the use of that thought? Is it helping you? Is it hindering you from doing something, or is it just making you feel low? So when you put that into perspective, and I'm not saying that after this episode you will be the master of perspective thinking, or you're putting your thoughts into perspective. It's just that it takes practice. So when you think of something, is it helpful? And if it's helpful, continue. If it's not, can you change it? If not, can you influence it? If not, then probably you just need to accept it. So put it into perspective, that if there is a thought on your mind that would lead you into doubting your skills, ask yourself, is it really helpful? Another thing is, you have to reframe your thoughts. So putting it into perspective, another thing is reframing your thoughts. So for those people who have attended my stress management class before, I actually talked about the difference between responding and then reacting. That we want you to more of respond rather than react. React is the natural way for animals, for organisms uh, to act based on the stimuli or on their environment. But responding is more of really there's a thought process into it that would help you realize if this is the best course of action for you to take when you are put into a certain situation or stimuli, and you cannot do both at the same time. There's really a very short instance between showing that you are reacting versus responding. So you can only choose one. You cannot really do both at the same time. So when you feel the urge of reacting, you have to um, train your mind that, okay, I am possibly going to shout, or for example, I'm possibly uh, thinking that this is something that I do not deserve. But hey, I got it. So resist the urge. just thank them. You thank for the blessing. So yun eh, parang respond rather than react. So it's better for you to respond rather than react on things. It helps you along the way. Next is learn to value constructive criticism, especially for those people that you think that you're really doubtful on your skills, on your leadership position. You will be getting feedback or coaching from people, and those people are there for you to improve. So they're not there because they wanted you to expose yourself that you are an imposter. No, it's not that way. Um, they just wanted you to improve. Probably they are actually seeing that you can do more. That's why they're providing that feedback to you. So you have to learn how to value constructive criticism. And another tip, bonus tip to you guys is there are times that criticism or constructive criticism is not delivered the way that we're expecting it to be. So learn to accept the fact that there are some people who are not yet familiar on how to provide feedback or coaching properly. So the intention is actually good. They wanted you to improve. It's just how to deliver it is something that they still need help on. So, still look at the brighter side that they are doing this because they wanted you to improve. Sabi nga nila, di ba, pag pinapagalitan ka, mahal ka. Pero pag hindi, well, that is something different. Last but certainly not the least is, if you're experiencing imposter syndrome, if you actually feel that this is something that I'm no longer believing on my skill set, this is something that I will not get, this is something that I just got this because I'm just lucky, but ngayon hindi ko talaga kaya. Talk to your friends, talk to your support members, reach out to your mentors, to your previous managers or coach. They probably experience the same thing that you're experiencing right now. They can give you pieces of advice on how to do it. Okay, so think about that. Now that we know what imposter syndrome is, what triggers it, and at the same time, how can we manage it? So we're almost done on our talk for today. Before we end this episode, I would just like you to read on the quote that we have here from Honor de Balzac, that when you doubt your power, you give power to your doubt. Very simple, very powerful quote, which actually summarizes what I would like to talk about on this episode of Bearded Talk. That when you start doubting yourself, you're giving power to your doubts, and hence it will be affecting how you perform. So remember that whatever you think will happen, it can and it will possibly happen. So that's how powerful our mind is. So if you start doubting yourself that you cannot do things, that you do not acknowledge this, that you cannot really perform because this is something that you know I got the position or I got this job, I got this project because I'm just lucky, then probably you're right. Because whatever you think it is, or what you're thinking about yourself, you're right. Okay, so think about that for a second. If you're starting to doubt yourself, then yes, you are going to be affected in the long run, and that is something that we would like to avoid. Okay, now if I miss on anything, if you want to comment, talk about this topic a little bit further, comment your comment down below. I'm reading all of your comments, your suggestions. So thank you for those who are commenting and providing me feedback as well. Really appreciate it. And if you would like to talk about a few more things, we have a Facebook page that is open for everybody. This YouTube channel. So I humbly ask for your support. So just hit like and subscribe if you want more contents like this. And if you have questions or clarifications aside from the comment section from YouTube or on the Facebook page, you can also send me an email, beardedtalk20@gmail.com. Now, this is Bearded Talk. And if you have any questions, guys, feel free to reach out and stay safe. Talk to you soon.